Summoner's War is turning 11 years old. Here's a list of the best 4 stars for new players. You'd think I would have written some kind of like transitionary statement between those 2 sentences, huh? But I did write a disclaimer. I'm not gonna include units you can fuse or Tyron. Because honestly, he and Verd would just crush this list. Like they would be 1 and 2, and it'd be a tough call for who's who. If you want to learn more about Verd or Tyron, you can click on literally any other video on the channel, and you have like a strong, I'd say like an 85% chance that it features one of these monsters. That's how good they are. Number 11, Windy. The wind. Do we even have to say what element he is? His name's Windy. What am I about to tell you? He's the fire one? No, dude, he's Windy. So it should be noted that I said that this list is nat 4s for new players, and Windy is not insane for new players. It's more so that you really want to get a Windy. He's great for Guild Wars, right? Because he can't be defense broken. Tractor Windy Lulu is an iconic siege offense, but in order to make it, you gotta have a Windy. So Windy's number 11. He lost a few points because he gets better and better as you get further into the mid game. So get one, keep him, there you go. Number 10, Robo G92. Great name for a great monster. The Wind Robo is spectacular in RTA, specifically alongside comps that want to run double strip options and then crowd control the opponent's team. But he's number 10 because I'm low-key wondering right now while I'm standing here if you could use him for TOA. Does anybody use the Wind Robo for TOA? Comment below if you do, because AoE attack bar absorption with a skill 3 that stuns, that sounds pretty good. Sounds like exactly what I'm looking for in TOA. But if you get one, you're happy about it. And that's why he's on the list. Number 9, similarly to the last 2, it's Kyle, the Water Poison Master. If the name of this video were the top 11 nat 4s for speed teams in Summoner's War, Kyle would be number 1. But that's not the title of the video, it's actually for new players. So similarly, Kyle is what we'd probably equate to an investment property. You want it now, but you know, buy low, sell high, or whatever. Don't ask me what a Roth IRA is. So if you have him and you know that he's going to be in your speed team for dragons and apparently every other dungeon in the entire game, then it's good you got him now, and you might be able to aim for the stars a little sooner. Number 8 is Chilling. Chilling's one of those monsters that I would just feel uncomfortable taking off of the list because he is such a reliable single target strip option for new players. To this day, you can bring him in things like dragons and just steal the immunity off the boss if Lauren won't stop using her skill 2 before the tower applies the immunity. God Lauren. He also has a super meaningful speed buff and a crit rate buff too, so he's a great unit. And he does something that's important for new players. He can kind of fill a gap in your team and help you clear content. Number 7 is Triana, the Wind Heart Magician. Triana has a really unique passive where if a unit would receive lethal damage, she instead prevents that and then gains a turn. She has healing and immunity on skill 2, and attack bar reduction and a possible sleep on skill 1. Triana's really cool because when you're just starting out in RTA and you need a counter to snipe comps, you can bring her on a team against a Sonya, and the Sonya owner has to either ban her or go for her first, and she's a veritable wall of HP and defense. Plus, Triana is also a staple of arena defense teams. She's literally in mine right now as we're talking, filming this video together. Number 6, it's just all-encompassing the twins. In past instances of this sort of content, I've listed Shaina, Sabrina, Talia as the main ones to look out for, and I think that's still true. Shaina is defense break on a stick with an AoE stun, Sabrina can help keep your other twins alive, and Talia is just some of the biggest damage out there. Talia notoriously is so powerful that she technically like supersedes mechanics in the game. Like in the light Rift Beast, where you're supposed to be dealing less damage with multi-hits, you can still bring Talia and knock out the boss effortlessly. That's how much damage Talia does. Also, at the time of recording, the Necro boss just saw adjustments recently. He no longer steals a unit at the start of combat. Between that and some other changes to him and dungeons in general, it's actually more viable to use twins now in Necro Abyss than ever before. Just a word of caution, make sure you don't skimp on the HP if you're using them in Necro because they have a tendency to get taken down on the way to the boss because of all the reflect damage from the golem. See that? They're too strong for their own good. Number 5, Hua the Fire Rakshasa. Hua might seem like a weird pull for this list, but I find that having a redundant effect of attack bar reduction, along with a crit rate lead on a fire monster for R5, is so helpful. There are so many times where I'll get asked a question about solo R5 teams on stream, and I always recommend Hua as a member of one of them. A lot of people forgot about her after the advent of just the force of nature that is Lauren the Light Cowgirl. But Hua is still dope, I promise you. Next, number 4, Galleon the Water Pirate Captain. After all these years, what Galleon does is still so unique and viable. His skill 3 is an AoE defense break that also applies attack buff on your team. But what's so important about it is that it is a non-hitting defense break. So you're not technically attacking them with this skill. That means you avoid a lot of damage triggers, boosting people up with nemesis runes, etc. You can use Galleon on your Giants team if your middle name is Danger, because sometimes he derps, dude. But he's most commonly associated with things like guild content as well as arena offenses. Rune him fast and with high accuracy so that way he can still miss, even with 100%. Number 3 is Abigail, the Water Cannon Girl. Abigail has a very specific role in the game. She is probably the best leader option for Necro Abyss. But she accomplishes that job so well that I'm putting her at number 3. Abigail was basically built in a lab to take down the Necro boss. She has 8 hits on her skill 2. That is empirically, mathematically proven to be 1 more hit than is necessary to break the boss's shield and then apply defense break. Rune her on Violent with some damage so that way she goes first but can also contribute, and you're gonna have the best possible option for Necro. 38% attack power lead in dungeons. Well, that's crazy. You can also use Ergar, but I like her enough to give her this. Number 2 is Aster, Lapis's spicy sister. But I think the last time I made this list is when she got that nickname. She was also way higher up before this. Aster's importance in the game has only increased since we last talked about Nat 4s. Her passive says that she'll deal increased damage as long as her target has more HP than her. And bosses have a ton of HP. She hits AoE on skill 1, she's got big damage on skill 2 with the silence. Awesome monster, and if you pair her with team up effects, you'll see the damage really rack up. Bring her anywhere you need big AoE damage, specifically from a fire unit. I use her on Spiritual Realm, I bring her in Necro, I use her in the Fire Rift Beast, I use her in places I probably shouldn't use her. Anyway, let's talk honorable mentions for a second. There are only 3 honorable mentions, and let's just get Lucian and Julie out of the way. I always feel like I need to talk about this, and feel free to disagree with me, but I think that Lucian and Julie in the early game only add a degree of variance to your dungeon runs. That just doesn't need to be there. When you're ready to make speed teams, you can do Lucian and Julie. You can seek them out. And this is not me trying to minimize what they do. Lucian is still one of the best AoE damage dealers in the entire game. Same with Julie. She also has perfect AI for dungeons, so if she's at max HP, she'll always use skill 3. But they require pretty insane runes to get there. If you want to put them anywhere on the list, put them with Kyle. I think that's a great spot, or in the honorable mentions, whatever you prefer. The last honorable mention is Garo the Fire Ninja. Garo just comes in and out of style in RTA, but he always has a home in TOA against the Acroma floor. So this is me recognizing that. Thanks, Garo. Thanks for letting me press play and walk away. Number 1, Kaki the Fire Onimusha. Kaki is just an insane damage dealer at any point in the game, and he's also weirdly easy to rune because his defense and attack feed off of each other. At the start of the game, he gets 20% increased defense based on his attack, and then he deals additional damage based on his defense. He also won't land crits. He's literally incapable of critting. And that is a blessing because that means you don't have to worry about crit rate or crit damage at all. You can purely focus on attack, defense, and speed, and you'll be good to go. Put him on Violent, and you'll have an insane damage dealer for so many different places in the game. You can bring him in Karzon, inside the Dimension Hole. You can use him as an arena offense member. You can bring him into the Tartarus Labyrinth. I use him up against the Wind and the Fire bosses. He could even be your Phaemon farmer. Anyway, Kaki, you deserve number 1, dude. Assuming Verd and Tyrone are busy. Because Verd would take number 1 so easily, dude, but I already said he's not allowed on the list. Same with Tyrone. So there we go. Congrats, Kaki. So that's the top 11 Nat 4s for new players in Summoner's War in 2025. Does my list look like yours? If yours is different than mine, put it in a comment down below, or if you would rearrange any of the numbers too, I'd love to hear that. All right, cool. See you next time.